Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Belinda Wilkerson, otherwise known as Dr. B, coming to you with college conversations, having that affordability conversation. This evening, we're going to look at some websites to have families have the opportunity to start those conversations if they haven't started those conversations already, because we know college costs are astronomical in some places. So I think it's so important, so important that families have the opportunity to talk about how much college is going to cost. So, what is it that you need to do in order to start figuring out these costs before you get the bill? So, join me in about 30 seconds and we will have that conversation. Hey, we're back again. So, Dr. B from Steps to the Future. As I said, today we are going to have a conversation about college costs. Now, this is something that I know I've talked about before, but this is one of those conversations that need to be had multiple times amongst families. It's really important that people talk about what's going on, how much things cost. I think one of the saddest things that I've seen when I've in my work as a college counselor is when families say, but it's their dream school. We're going to do what we can to make sure they're able to attend. And then the bill comes in and they don't receive the financial aid that they thought they were going to receive. And now they have to break the news to their son or daughter that that school isn't within our budget. The worst thing a family can do is say, okay, we're going to see if we can make this work and not take into account you have to pay for that school for 4 years. It's not 1 year. So, yes, maybe you can make it work for 1 year, but what do you do about those other years? So, I hope folks will join in to this conversation. I would love to see what people have to say, questions that you will have. Please make sure that those of you that are watching this on the replay, make sure you send your questions in. Let me know what you're thinking, because it really is a conversation that every family needs to be having. That excuse me, my mouth is starting early tonight. That college affordability question. So one of the first things that we need to think about when we're thinking about college affordability is how do we even start wrapping our heads around this? So one of the first things we need to do is I always hear people talk about, well, we need this, we need that. Well, there's a formula for what we call demonstrated need. Demonstrated need is the amount of money or the estimation of money that the federal government thinks your family should be able to afford for college. So, how do we get that number? We take the cost of attendance, subtract the expected family contribution from that, and we get the demonstrated need. So let's break this apart a little bit. Let's peel back some of the layers. Cost of attendance. Cost of attendance includes tuition. It includes room and board. It may include books, transportation. It may include student insurance. So when people talk about cost of attendance, it's everything. It's not just the tuition, it's also the room and board. And people are finding out as they're starting to look at the cost, they're understanding that, wow, room and board is kind of up there. Yes, it is. So it's really important that you know what your costs are and you pay attention to them. And one of the great things that I think you can do is try to figure out what those costs are ahead of time. So, cost of attendance minus your expected family contribution. How do you get expected family contribution? How do you get that EFC number? This is where the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, comes in. Every student that is applying to college, and for every year that they're in college, they will be completing this form. And we'll go a little bit over that. We're not going to go through the whole form, but just give you some information, some places where you need to look, some things you need to think about. When you have those two numbers, that equals the demonstrated need. So, demonstrated need is based on income and assets. It's not what you think you need, it's what the federal government's formula, after you complete the FAFSA, decides that you need. Now, I'll tell you straight out. When our younger son was going to college and we did our FAFSA and we got our EFC back. Yeah, there was a lot of laughing in our house. Laughing like, are you kidding me? There's no way in the world that we have that kind of money to just pull out of our pocket every year. So, yeah, that's kind of how it is. So, let me just go through some things that you need to start thinking about. And these are just preliminary steps that folks can take if you haven't started having that conversation already. For those of you that have already started that conversation, this is a refresher course. So, one of the first things that I think people should do. So, I'm going to share my screen with you. So, let me get over to that. Okay. So, let's see. So, we're here sharing the screen. So, one of the ways that you can determine your EFC is to use this wonderful tool called the FAFSA Forecaster. Now, originally, there was talk it was supposed to go away. They were going to retool it something. They were going to use it for some other purpose, or it was just going away. I'm not sure the whole story behind it. However, it is there. You can go into this FAFSA Forecaster, and you can go in and you can start putting in your information. And as it says here, it'll estimate your eligibility for federal student aid. Please remember, federal student aid does include loans. Okay? Federal student aid does include loans. So you can go through here. So this is free for everyone. You just go to this site, FAFSA Forecaster, and it'll ask you to put in certain information. So it starts out, are you a U.S. citizen? Because you do, in order to get any federal student aid, you do have to put in that you are a citizen. And as you see, it goes on and it will ask you multiple questions. So this is a great way to start in order to find out what your expected family contribution is. Now, remember, it is so important to remember that this is an estimate. Okay. This is an estimate. One of the things that I see sometimes when I'm on different social media and I'm looking at questions or comments that people are posting around paying for college or college affordability, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So it's really important that you find out what the real answer is so that you can make sure that you are not using false information or incorrect information to make your decisions. So that's the FAFSA Forecaster. So that's one of the tools that you can use in order to start that conversation about college affordability. You can find out what your expected family contribution is or an estimate of it. So one of the other sites that I really think it's so important for people to know about. So again, like I said, I'm always on social media. I'm reading comments and looking at the questions that people have. People always have questions, like I said, about financial aid. And sometimes the people that are giving the answer maybe have half of the answer or a little bit of the answer. So it's really important that folks understand that there are places that you can go in order to find this information. So this is one of the places. This is the website that's federal student aid. So any question that you have about federal student aid, whether that's grants, scholarships, loans, or work study, please use this as your first site of information. So let's just look at a little bit of it. We're not really going to go into it. So in that first bullet, understand aid, it tells you how financial aid works. So you can click on that and it's going to give you information about how financial aid works. So again, you can see, you can go through here. Of course, it talks about starting, planning early, filling out the FAFSA, how to review your aid offer, getting your aid, graduate and start repayment. So again, this is a great place for you to go to get your initial information if you have not done so already. Then it talks about applying for aid. So again, talks all about the FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid. Do not ever pay for help with the FAFSA. Do not ever do that. This is a free document. No one should be charging you to do this. So if some agency or someone reaches out to you and says, yes, I can do your FAFSA for such and such. No, you can sit down and do it yourself. You really can. So please do not pay to do that. So it goes through, completing your FAFSA, the deadlines, how to fill it out, how to review and correct your form, renewing it, because every year that a student is in college, they have to renew this application. This is done every year. The new application opens every year on October 1st. So it's open already this year for our current seniors in high school. And then anyone that's returning to college will also have to fill it out. Just make sure when you're on the site that you're filling it out for the right year. So again, under that applying for aid, you see that information. It also gives information about the different loans. That's information that you want to know about, because sometimes when you get a financial aid package, you need to know what the loans are, especially if they're federal loans, and you need to know all the terms of those loans. So please make sure that you read that information. Again, start here. Start here. Having information, having the correct information goes such a long way. Talks about completing the aid process. So, again, it's telling you how aid is calculated. It's looking at how you can compare school aid offers, accepting it, receiving it. If your student gets a loan, one of the federal loans, you have to sign the master promissory note. So it talks all about that. And it talks about for undergraduates and for graduate students, and also for parents. So you want to do that. They do some entrance counseling. And there are a couple of grants that students can receive. So make sure you pay attention to that. Section on loans. Great section on loans. Make sure you look at it. Take your time. This is not something you want to rush through. Look through, find out what you need to know, take notes. This will be updated whenever the federal government updates it. So please make sure you do this. You can create an account if you need to. This is where people will start, students will start actually when they get ready to do their FAFSA. You'll go right here, to filling out the FAFSA. And it'll talk about the student aid report, which is an important document. So again, take your time, go through this site, set some time aside. Parents, because you're the primary bill payer, you need to go through this. But again, have those conversations with your son or daughter, because after all, you want to make this is going to college is expensive. So this is a family affair. So that's one site. Now, another place where you can go to find your EFC is the EFC calculator. And the EFC calculator is on the College Board website, Big Future College Board. So you can go there, and you can also use this to calculate your EFC. On the this particular calculator, and I need to go back and check on FAFSA Forecaster, because I tend to use this one more than I use the FAFSA Forecaster. But on the EFC calculator, when you go on there, you can calculate your federal methodology and institutional methodology. Now, what's the difference? Federal methodology uses the algorithm that comes from the FAFSA. So this is basically trying to give you an expected family contribution based on the federal formula. The institutional methodology is giving you a rough estimate of the institution, the college or university site, because they ask more questions. Plus, there may be another form that you have to fill out for some schools. So again, this is a great place to start also. And as you can see, there's the welcome page. And then the next section actually talks about student status. So it was interesting because I was on a Facebook page and there was a question about whether somebody could claim to be an independent student because of their living situation. And there's a formula to determine whether or not a student is an independent student. So you need to look at this. And this actually walks you through it first, dependent versus independent. So it asks you a series of questions, and based on how you answer those questions, it will let you know whether the student is an independent or a dependent student. Now, most students that are high school seniors will be dependent students. That means that they live with one or both parents more than 50% of the time. Dependent and independent has nothing to do with who claims you on the income tax return. If you don't remember anything else tonight, remember that. Being a dependent or an independent has absolutely nothing to do with who claims you on the income tax return. It's all about which parent or guardian, official guardian, legal guardian that you live with for more than 50% of the year, more than 50% of the time. So remember that. So you'll go through status, and then there's a section, it goes on. Well, it's not going to go on because I need to answer those questions to go on, but it goes on, asks you to put in some, shows you the formula. It asks for some family information, student info, finances, and then results. There's always help on these sites. Always help on these sites. So there's always that little help section there. So make sure you go to that. Now, one of the things that I really recommend that parents also do, my whole goal is to help people eliminate random acts of college planning. And I think by using these sites and having those conversations at home, that you can really get away from some of those random acts of college planning. You want to be intentional about what you're doing. You want to be thoughtful. College is expensive for the most part. There aren't too many of us that can just say, hey, we're good. We can just pay for this out of pocket. The majority of people aren't in that category. So you really need to have those affordability questions at your house, and these websites will help you do that. So EFC Calculator. The other good thing with Big Future, while we're on this site, you can do college searches on here. You can explore careers on here. And again, there's some more information about paying for college. If your student took the SAT or the PSAT, they have an account on College Board. So it's really nice sometimes if you're going to use this tool to log in with your student's account or have your student log in so that the information will be saved and you can go back and look at it and compare information as you move through this process. But again, you have to have an account. You can create an account. Okay, so that's the EFC calculator. So one of the other things that it's important to do, so back in, I want to say October 2011, the federal government required all colleges to put a net price calculator on their websites. So this is a calculator that, you input information and supposedly it gives you a number that helps you see if the net price of that school is within your family's budget. Now, all net price calculators are only as good as the calculator. The more information that is required of the person, the better the information is. Now, how do you find net price calculators? Like it's on the financial aid website of all colleges that receive any kind of federal funding. The easiest way is to Google net price calculator plus the name of the college. So let me give you an example. So I have one pulled up here already. So this is the net price calculator for Wake Forest University. And it starts out by, and as you can see, it's on their financial aid website. So you can see that information. It gives you a definition of what is a net price calculator. Okay. So again, remember, this is a simple tool. This isn't for people that have complex situations, as it says. because it says the estimate may be less accurate. Always remember that after you do this, if you still have questions and you're not sure about something, reach out to the financial aid office at the school that you're thinking about attending or applying to. Um, they really want to make sure that their school is affordable for you. No one wants someone to come to their school for a year and then have to leave because of affordability issues. Doesn't look good for them because it lowers their retention rate, lowers their graduation rate, and plus they want students to come in and do well. Um, Again, you can go on here. I'm not going to go through this because you have to put in all your information. This is something that I want to emphasize for all colleges, especially private colleges, because sometimes people will see the sticker price for a private college and say, it's choking me. There's no way we're even thinking about applying to a school that costs that much. So again, what it says here, and this is referring to Wake Forest, but I'm going to say this for any private school. Don't let the sticker shock deter you. It's just like, someone likens it to, when you're buying an airline ticket, or the days when we were buying an airline ticket. So if I'm going home to Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm going on Southwest, there are three possibilities for prices that I can pay for my ticket. But that plane is taking everybody to the same place, regardless of how much they paid for their ticket. It all depends on how many amenities you want. So again, don't get put off by the sticker price because you don't know what's going to happen. So again, it tells you, walks you through, it shows you where to access it, and everyone is set up a little different. So make sure you look at, for every school your student is interested in, run the net price calculator. Run the net price calculator. And it'll, and there's all kinds of information to help you with this. So again, it tells you how to get started, gives you a little bit more information. So they even have on their homepage of the net price calculator, if parents are separated, divorced, and never married, how you would answer the questions differently. It tells you sometimes to put in different information and run the calculator again so you could see what happens. So if you have siblings, brothers or sisters, if you have older students who are in graduate or professional school, they're not counted for college purposes. So they'll ask you, not to do that. So they're only included when we're talking about eligibility for federal aid. So again, it gives you all the information. Read the directions carefully, do it several times, whatever it is that you need to do. But please make sure you use these net price calculators because it's a good place to start. And usually, as they show here on Wake Forest's this financial aid page, it's also telling you about some other helpful resources that you should be looking at. So they talk about, aid for undergraduates, their financial aid policies, what forms they require. And again, this is on every college's financial aid website. May look a little different. It all depends on what they have. Financial aid topics, outside scholarship announcements, veterans benefits, especially like here in Fayetteville and other places that are military towns or people that have military service. You want to see what the veterans benefits are for a particular school. So that is definitely something that I think you should look at. Okay, so again, this is where you go. So again, this is the same site. It's part of the site that we just looked at for the FAFSA Forecaster. This is the main federal student aid site. If you have any questions at all about federal financial aid, remember federal financial aid, this is where you go. This is the site that you go when you're going to complete the FAFSA. And I hope I'm saying that right. It's always, it's one of those words that always gets mispronounced a lot. So if you're new, this is where you would go. Let me get a little drink here because I'm out here and my throat's getting a little dry. So if you're new, this is where you would start. If you're returning, this is where you would log in. So this means you've already have an account. This means you don't have an account, you're starting a new account. This is what you use if you already have an account, if you already have your FSA ID and what have you. On their homepage, you'll always see the announcements. So for people, whoops, that went a little bit too fast there. So for people who are planning on using the data retrieval tool, know that it's not going to be up this coming Sunday. So plan accordingly. It's going to be out, but you can still go ahead and do fill in that information from your tax return and just do it manually. It gives you, so here's a link for where all the new forms are for this current year. Information about what if there's a change in your family financial situation. And we know right now with this pandemic, our economy is suffering quite a bit. And people who have had jobs or have lost their jobs, other things have happened. So it's important to know what is the process if your family financial situation changes. And when you click on here, you will find all of the updated FAFSA announcements. So again, check this site repeatedly. It may become your best friend or it may not. Now, here's another interesting site. College Scorecard. This is put out by the U.S. Department of Education, as you can see. What's cool about it is that it gives you the opportunity to compare information from different colleges. So, for example, I had Wake Forest let's see. So I had Wake Forest in the net price calculator. So let's see. So we go to Wake Forest and let's see what it's going to show us. So here's what happens with the college scorecard. And this is only a little bit of it. We can go on and we can do all kinds of searches to get an idea of what you're looking for. You can type in, academic fields. So you can search for multiple colleges here by using this particular search tool. So if I hadn't put Wake Forest in here, but I was putting in that I was looking for schools, say, for example, in a particular state. So then I say that I'm looking for schools and I'll put North Carolina because that's where I am right now. If I'm looking for schools in North Carolina. Okay, so I am actually going to, and then you go down and you can put in other information. Religious affiliation, specialized mission. Are you looking for city, suburban? I'm going to have to take this, let me do this. Let me take Wake Forest out of there because that's messing with it. So again, there's actually 5,759 schools in this database, all types of schools. So let me go back here. So if I'm just looking for schools, say in North Carolina, again, this is what you would do. You would select your state. No, you know what? I'm going to do Rhode Island, my home state. So let's look. Let's find Rhode Island. Little Rhodey. Home sweet home. Okay. So here are our schools in Rhode Island. Now, say we wanted schools. Okay, we want bachelor's degrees. But say we only wanted schools in Rhode Island that had nursing, maybe. Let's see. Let's see if nursing is in here, if it's just under healthcare. Whoops. So we're just looking. Let's say anthropology. We'll stop there just for the sake. So as you see, it's searching through. So it's telling us that these three schools in Rhode Island all have anthropology. Then you can start doing comparisons about the schools. You can click on any of the schools and get additional information about the school. So it gives you information. So here, University of Rhode Island, you find out about its graduation rate. Um, One of the nice things that's on here is they talk about salary. You know, salary after completing. So this is the range. The average annual cost for the school. You can go into other information. So it gives you basic information here at the top. It's 4-year school, it's public, it's suburban, medium size, all the other regular stuff. Then you could go through and you can compare schools, you can add other schools to the list. So let's see what it does when you compare. So I haven't selected anything to compare. So let's see. Start by searching for schools okay, I can add up to 10 schools. Let's see. I thought it would just compare those 3 that I already had in there, but apparently not. So let me go back here where it says compare. Okay. Add to compare school. So we'll put that in there. So let's go to another school. Let's go back. Come on. There we go. So we'll compare these two. And we'll add to compare school. Okay, so now we're going to ask them to compare. So now we get information about these 2 schools. And this will happen. You can put in up to 10 schools in here. So it gives you the average annual cost, graduation rate, all kinds of information. Salaries after completion. So again, this is a great tool to use just to start having those conversations because it's so important to do that. So important to do that. Now, so it's about a half hour. Probably. So again, college scorecard. We'll just go back to the home page. As I said, there's over 5,000 schools in here. Great information that you can use this site for. Again, it's by the U.S. Department of Education. Interested in apprenticeship? Here's a great place to look. Career Explorer, so it's connected to ONET. Again, financial aid. This next site is one of my favorite sites because of this particular document that they have at no cost. And I think this is one of the best kept secrets. I don't think everybody knows about this. So this site is Edvisors. So they do a lot around financial aid. A lot of their stuff is around loans and what have you. But the one thing that they have that I find invaluable is this: a quick and easy guide for the FAFSA. This is incredible because it gives you so much information. So any questions you have about the FAFSA, you will find in this publication. Now, I think it's just all online now because you used to be able to, get actually download a hard copy of you could either buy the hard copy or you could download a PDF of the book. But I think that what they do now is they have everything linked here. So it tells you when does it, how do you make corrections? What happens after I submit it? What if I do not qualify? I didn't get enough financial aid. So again, this is another one of those tools that families should be using on a regular basis. So please, please, please use these tools because they will help you start having those conversations. You won't have to get to that point where it's sticker shock because you had no idea that your family was going to be expected to pay that much. So use these tools. Start using these tools. Um, One of the other sites that I was going to bring up, but I don't think I have it. No, I didn't. I didn't link it here. And, with technology, I don't want to be going back and forth messing around with stuff. So, again, just quickly going through these tools, it's so important that you use them. So, this is getting ready to time out. So, this is the FAFSA Forecaster. You can go in there and do the calculations and get your expected family contribution through this site. Or you can go to the EFC calculator that's on College Board Big Future and get your use the institutional methodology and the federal methodology to get that. And it explains what all of that is in those sites. Um, Again, this information, how financial aid works by going to this financial aid site, going to FinAid. This gives you all that information that you need. Net price calculators, all colleges will have them on their websites. Best thing to do is Google net price calculator plus the name of the school, and it will take you to the page. This happens to be the one for Wake Forest University. They all have them, so make sure you do that. And College Scorecard. Find out, you can compare, you can do all kinds of great things, and it's free. And last but not least, just showing this again, the Edvisors online book or online site for filling out your FAFSA. All kinds of great information on here for you. Okay, so make sure you do this. There we go. Filing the FAFSA, a quick and easy guide for the 2021-2022 FAFSA. So folks, make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're paying attention. So important. Now, you guys that know me know that I always love showing a book. That is my favorite thing to do, showing a book. So the book today is called Paying the Price, and it's by Sarah Goldrick Robb. This book is eye-opening. It's one that I think a lot of families should pay attention to. So what Dr. Goldrick Robb and her colleagues did is they did a study of about 3,000 students in Wisconsin in the public university system, and they looked at financial aid in regards to these students, and they also followed some students as case studies. The information that comes out of this is it's heartbreaking because it shows that what we already know, but it shows that college is too expensive. People get into college sometimes and they're gung-ho, they're going to get everything done, and they find out maybe I can't afford the books this semester, or maybe I'm not going to get this meal ticket for meals or what have you. Whatever the cause is, there's so many obstacles for people paying for college. And Dr. Goldrick Robb does a fantastic job of giving that information. So again, this is this week's book, Paying the Price. I would definitely suggest that you read that if your family is having those conversations about paying for college. It is so important that we have those conversations. So I'm just going to leave you with an opportunity to sign up for my monthly newsletter, Steps. This is the URL that you can use in order to sign up for Steps, or you can go on my website. And actually, I'm going to see if I can share my website with you on here. I didn't know, I'm playing around with technology, and it's kind of cool because, you're figuring things out as we go along. So let me see if this is something that I can share without messing it up. Because you're always afraid when you try something for the first time that you're going to mess things up. So let's see. Let me go on here and see if this is something that I can share with you. And I think I'm going to be okay here. So let's see. Let's see. Okay. So this is my website. This is the homepage. Shout out to Katrina Alexander from KLA Web Designs, who is my web designer. I love Katrina. She always keeps me on task and keeps me looking good and has great service. So if you're on my website, you're going to go to resources and actually go to the financial aid section under resources. And you will see several resources there that you can also use. Hopefully, I'll be looking at my resources to see what I need to change, what I need to add. I think there are a couple of links that may have changed over time. But again, here's a site where you can research scholarships. College Data is another great site that you can use in order to research colleges and get information, all kinds of information about colleges. For folks that live here in North Carolina, College Foundation of North Carolina, great information about local scholarships and grants at different colleges. So you want to think about that. The CSS profile, that's the other financial aid document that probably about 200 or so private colleges and some, I think it's maybe like 5 public colleges use in order to determine how they're going to give out their institutional money. So Edvisors, as I said, it used to be you can download a free copy of the book, but now it's all linked on their site. Here's the EFC calculator. So if you need to get that information, this is the one that goes to Big Future. Information about your FAFSA Forecaster, FastWeb, another place that you can go to in order to start doing some scholarship searches. FinAid is another site that you can use in order to do some scholarship searches. And these are all major. FastWeb and FinAid are like major scholarship databases. So the way they work is that a student puts in information, and based on the information, this is how it's supposed to work. Based on the information that a student inputs, the system is supposed to match them up with scholarships that they may be eligible for. So again, that's how they work. So that's FastWeb and FinAid. The Hispanic Scholarship Fund, learn about more scholarship opportunities for Hispanic and Latino students. Raise Me is another way that some students can earn scholarships. Scholarship Points. Scholly is an app. This is kind of like one of my favorites because the creator of it actually presented it on Shark Tank and was picked up by Damon John, and it's now a full-fledged company. So again, it's an app that people can use. Tuition Tracker gives you sticker price versus net price, something you might want to check. United Negro College Fund, a lot of scholarships for students that are attending HBCUs. And another place is Unigo. So this is another one of those scholarship databases that you can look at. So as I'm looking at this, I know I have some more information that I would like to add to this. So probably within the next month or so, I will be updating this, adding more information there. But again, if you're looking for additional information for college, here's some sites on college planning. You can go here and do that. Career sites. It's always good to be able to start having those conversations around career. Here are a few items, some books and stuff for parents to read. Again, I'll be updating this. And for the military, there are some tools that are specifically for people, for military families. So I think this is another great site for people to be able to use. So I am absolutely thrilled that people were able to join tonight. And for those that are watching this on the replay, if you have any comments or questions or what have you, please make sure that you put them in the chat box or put it in the comment section and I will see them. And I thank you so much for joining in. As I said, I we'll be doing these every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Next week, I hope to have a guest with me so we can do a career conversation so we can see how people choose the careers that they're in, what their educational backgrounds are, and how they're practicing self care, because we know right now that self care is so important. So, this is Dr. B from Steps to the Future. I thank you all for joining in this evening. And I hope you learned a little bit of something. I hope there was something in here that helped your family as you're going through this process. Because as I said, I don't want you making random acts of college planning. I want everything you do to be intentional and for you to be able to make informed decisions. So again, Dr. B, Steps to the Future. I will see you next week. Have a fantastic evening.